And if you read all the quotes today, they said, Oil Can said, I'm going to try to do the best I can. I'm going to try to have the best game I've ever had. And if he does that, he might overthrow. He might not see the real Oil Can boys.
Do you see any particular key to tonight's game?
Well, it's an interesting contrast, and it's something to ponder. If you look at the Angels, they have the best record against right-hand starters in the American League, 60-43. So Boyd's pitching, and he's right-handed. And then you have Candelaria, a left-hander, going for the Angels. And the situation is that Boston has the best record against left-handers, 28-18. So you have two control-type pitchers that should throw a lot of strikes. It's twilight, a situation that's very good for pitchers. And in the first two games, where we thought we'd have low run type of games, we had an 8-1 game and a 9-2 game. I don't expect a lot of runs to be scored tonight.
This is the second year of the best-of-7 format. I sort of get the feeling that there's a little less tension, at least to this point, than there used to be in a best 3 out of 5. Am I alone, or do you feel the same way?
Well, I played in 7 playoffs, and they were all 3 out of 5. And this is where this series has gravitated to. It is 3 out of 5. Every game now has more tension, and you know, the situation as it is, John McNamara coming back with Roger Clemens tomorrow. He hasn't done that all year. You really don't know about that situation. It's a pretty big game for the Red Sox tonight.
Late afternoon game in Anaheim, and that begs the question about the light. Not bad, all things considered, tonight.
No, everybody says it's a great park to hit in, but at night, and this isn't nighttime, it's twilight time.
Okay. That is what they call the preamble, and we will join the public address announcer, Dennis Packer, here at Anaheim Stadium.
See ya. Left fielder Larry Barnett, and right field Larry McCoy. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, to honor America, will you please rise and join celebrated entertainer Sammy Davis Jr. in singing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Sammy Davis and the national anthem as the crowd settles in, and we are set for the start of Game 3.
Exclusive presentation of ABC Sports is being brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet, and by Coors and Coors Light, beers with a difference worth tasting.
To the park and you leave them there. You yell like crazy for your guys. Good for your lungs. The hot dog at the game beats roast beef at the Ritz. See your own national game beautifully played. Let's all go out to the ball game as often as we can get away next season. For my dough, that's living.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Hi, everybody. This is W. Stephen Martin from KNIX. We'd like to invite you to join me and the other KNIX personalities for Instant Bingo.
I'm on the disabled list this season. Had elbow surgery in April. Finished with a real flourish as the former Pirate left-hander makes his way to the mound. And I talked to him yesterday and asked him about his current physical condition.
Well, Al, I would say right now I'm at 100%, although I can't throw 9 innings. If I can give the team a good 6 or 7 innings, I'll be out there that long. But more than 125 pitches, I just don't see.
Was there any apprehension at all as you made your way back? For instance, the first night you went back to the mound in Palm Springs?
I don't care what a pitcher says, Al. He has fear when he has surgery or when he's come off an injury or player. There's always the fear factor there, and yes, I was very apprehensive about it. I was apprehensive of throwing the ball as hard as I could throw it. There was times I did hold back and not throw as hard as I was capable of throwing.
What about your future, though? How much longer do you want to pitch?
I want to keep on pitching as long as I'm effective, and let's be truthful, there's a lot of money out there today, and I want a piece of it, and that's the way it is. Hopefully, I hope I can pitch another 6 years, 7 years, as long as I can. I have to take the uniform off my back. Like I said, I'm here because I do love the game, but let's be honest, there's a lot of money out there, and as long as they're paying me, I'll keep on going out there.
And the lineup that he faces tonight has Wade Boggs leading things off at third, and then Marty Barrett at second. Bill Buckner is the first baseman, lefty against lefty. Jim Rice, who hit the home run the other day. Don Baylor, per usual, the DH. Dwight Evans batting in the 6th spot. Rich Gedman is the catcher. He, too, is a left-handed batter. Tony Armas hits 8th, and batting 9th will be Spike Owen. And the Angels now defensively with Downing, Pettis, and Rupert Jones in right field. The Sensei, Schofield, Grich, and Joyner in the infield. Boone catching. And I guess, Jim, with Sammy Davis here to sing the national anthem, it's appropriate that the Candyman is on the mound.
Very good, Al. I like that. Sure is. And a lot of people, I think, felt that he may have been the choice to maybe start in the first game. As great a year and as great a game as Mike Witt pitched the first ball game. They felt this is the Angels' hottest pitcher, a rare blend of a guy that has strikeout capabilities but has excellent control, almost 8 strikeouts per 9 innings, only 2 walks. I think the impressive thing, as you look at the umpires, is the fact that he's very tough against left-handers. And if you think about the lineup that Boston presents, Wade Boggs hitting 352 on 357 on the year, but 352 versus left-handers. Will he neutralize him? Hasn't allowed a home run all year to a left-hander. How about Buckner and Gedman? Pretty good guy to have on the mound for you.
And Wade Boggs waiting to come up to the plate to start things here at Anaheim Stadium. Fenway is a park of nooks and crannies, of course, but in Anaheim, a symmetrical facility. 333 down the lines, 370 to the alleys, 404 to center. The natural grass here in pretty good shape, all things considered. But keep in mind, too, this is the home of the Rams, who have played some preseason games and some regular season games here already this year, including a game last Sunday against the Tampa Bay Bucks. And that one went into overtime, so they got extra use from the field.
Well, of course, I played in many World Series. One was in Memorial Stadium, where we were able to win the 6th game. Colts had played there the weekend before, going back to really 1971. Dick Davaleo made a throw and hit a divot made from football, took a high hop. Frank Robinson slid under the tag, and we go to the 7th game. They put a lot of ryegrass. They top dress. Ryegrass comes in up anywhere from 4 to 7 days, so you do the best you can. This is a multi-purpose stadium, as you said in the pregame, but you just hope you don't get the bad hops similar we got in Boston, which really is only used for baseball.
So here we go now for game number 3 with Boggs at the plate, and Candelaria starts in with a strike. Wade Boggs, the batting champion. He's done it 3 times now in the last 4 years. And in this series, he is 3 for 7. 0-2. Candelaria coming over to the Angels last year in a deal in August when the Pirates strapped for money cleaned house. They sent Al Holland over here and George Hendrick in that deal as well, and it rejuvenated Candelaria, who had worn out his welcome and his desire to play in Pittsburgh, to say the least. To center, to Pettis. 1 out. At 79, still sprightly, the owner of the Angels, the man who has owned this franchise since its inception, Gene Autry.
Second baseman, Marty.
And already, Al, you talked about this really the twilight effect to hitters. Candelaria basically has a fastball, a big breaking, what they call a slurve, somewhere in between a curveball and a slider. And then talking to Marcel Latchman, the pitching coach for the Angels, he said he's coming up with a split-finger fastball, which he used very well in a 2-0 win over Texas. But right there, he got Boggs, great two-strike hitter, threw him a hanging breaking ball, and the one thing you don't see at twilight, if you talk to any of the hitters, is a spin on the ball. So already he's gotten away with a high breaking ball that normally Boggs would jump on.
Barrett has been jumping on the Angels. He is 5 for 9 in the 2 games. And Candelaria quickly out in front 0-2. Candelaria, excellent control. And this season averaging 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Very good. Averaging just a couple of walks, 2 walks per 9 innings, and that is very good. Still 0-2.
I think it makes him so deceptive. You're talking to somebody that's 6'7", the big man. As you look at the fantastic game he had back in 1975 against Cincinnati. Not too many left-handers are this tall, and you don't see too many side-arming lefties. So you're seeing another look, another angle.
Breaking pitch is fouled away, and the count, no balls and 2 strikes. That graphic just illustrating the record he shares with, among others, Mike Scott, tying it the other night. And Candelaria, when he pitched that very first game in the 1975 playoffs for the Pirates against Cincinnati at the age of 21, he started that game by striking out Rose, Morgan, Bench, and Perez. And they ought to send that ball to Cooperstown. One hopper, the sensei, to Joyner. 2 down, and now Bill Buckner comes up for the Red Sox.
Well, what did they say when we got on the plane the other night at 2,600 miles from Boston to California? And the biggest change other than the weather is really the type of playing surface. This is a very good park to hit home runs in, but also a very good infield to throw ground balls on. Not as quick as it is in Boston. As you take a look at John McNamara, manager of the Red Sox. The hitters don't like it, but the pitchers love it. If you throw grounders, the infielders are going to get to most of them. Very hard to hit a ball through the infield here. To really crush it.
John McNamara is no stranger to either dugout here, in the visiting dugout back at first tonight, but for 2 years, the manager of the Angels in 1983 and 84, and he coached with the Angels under Jim Fregosi in 79. Actually 78, in there for a strike and the count 1-1.
Again, it's interesting, I think, as a pitcher and a former pitcher. You pitch in a lot of twilight games. When you keep reading the hitters saying how difficult it is to see, it gives you a little more confidence just to throw the ball over, which is basically what you want to do as a pitcher. You want to get ahead and then have them swing at balls. Gets a strike, great slider low and away, or it might even have been a split-finger fastball. A pitch is, if you watch the first National League playoff, that enabled Mike Scott to come up with 14 strikeouts. Candelaria doesn't throw it as hard as Scott, but he does have it in his repertoire.
And the 0-2 pitch way outside, and a swing and a miss, and Bill Buckner winds up with the bat traveling towards second. And the Angels, after a half, coming up. For the California Angels, looks like this. Gary Pettis starts things off. And then Wally Joyner, insect bite and all, in high fever in the lineup. Brian Downing batting third. Reggie's back in there tonight as the DH. Doug the Sensei batting fifth. Rupert Jones in the 6th spot. He led off the other night. Bobby Grich at 7th. Dick Schofield in the 8th slot. And batting 9th will be Bob Boone. And on the mound, of course, is Oil Can Boyd with Rice, Armas, and Evans in the outfield. Boggs, Owen, Barrett, and Buckner in the infield. Gedman catching. And Oil Can Boyd on the mound for the Boston Red Sox. Oil Can, and one other thing that people forget because so many things have happened to him this season. When he reported to spring training, he was down to 133 pounds. They didn't know what was wrong with him. Took some tests, and it turned out to be non-infectious hepatitis. So it's the Can against the Candyman here in Game 3 as Pettis gets started to lead things off. Pettis, Joyner, and Downing with no score. Gary Pettis, who is the speediest man on either team and the only true base-stealing threat on a consistent basis. So Dick Schofield did steal 23 this year. Pettis is really the only man you have to greatly concern yourself with when he gets on. Switch hitter who hit in the 9th spot in the first 2 games, and Gene Mauch has moved him up to the leadoff spot.
Well, the one thing Oil Can Boyd can do is throw strikes. Under 2 base on balls per 9 innings. And when you're pitching to a guy like Gary Pettis with 50 stolen bases leading off a game, you want to throw strikes, make him hit the ball. Don't want to walk him. If you put him on, you're talking about a double.
We mentioned before, because of all of the rumors that sweep ballparks, especially around playoff time and World Series time with the intense media coverage, the rumor that Boyd had been involved in an auto accident last night, and McNamara addressed it at about 4 o'clock local time by saying absolutely false. 2-1 the count.
I think the first really way we will be able to see if the pressure or maybe trying too hard, as we said in the pregame, wants to pitch the game of his life manifests itself if his control is off. And we see ball 3. Another thing, he pitched last Saturday, Al, so normally a man that pitches really with 4 days rest on the 5th day has an extra day, similar to what happened to Roger Clemens. 3 walks in that 2nd inning, set up that big 4-run inning in the first game for the Angels. So again, if the Can can't throw strikes, it's not going to be near as tough.
And the one man you do want to throw strikes to is Pettis, because if you walk him, you're looking at good chances of it turning out to be the same thing as a double. Joyner on deck, then Downing. Bottom of the 1st inning, no score. Game 3 with a series even at a game apiece. Just for the record, during the regular season, the 12 meetings, the Angels were 7-5 with Boston. And he's on.
When you talk about wanting to throw strikes, what this does, it changes your pitching pattern. If you throw a lot of breaking balls, that usually means the ball arrives at home plate a little slower, and you give your catcher less of a chance to throw out the runner. So Wally Joyner, good fastball hitter. You see him 2 doubles in the first game on fastballs. A home run off Hurst in the 2nd game on a fastball. Can pretty much look for one.
So here in the capital of Wally World comes Joyner with Pettis, who had 50 steals this season and was thrown out 13 times. Held on by Buckner. Wally, Wally is the chant.
Again, I think if you refer to the kind of pickoff move that Oil Can Boyd has, you would say quick feet. You said he's not very heavy, 155 pounds now, as you said, 133 before. Not a great move, but gets rid of the ball quickly, and that's the key. You want to freeze the runner at first, don't give him that running lead, and get the ball to Gedman as quickly as you can.
No balls, 1 strike, nobody out. Pettis inching off first. And time call. He had backed off. Time had been called. Buckner's upset, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway because time was out. Buckner was angry about the call, and now realizes that time had been called. The plate umpire, Terry Cooney, had thrown his hands up preparatory to the move to first base. The umpire at first base is Nick Remigan. I guess Bill realized that time had been up, and then he went back and he was going to argue it anyway with Remigan about the call.
Well, he wants the out. He knows that Pettis can run. He knows he's got to hold him on. It's created that big hole between first and second. Mock has a left-handed hitter to take advantage of that.
Pettis goes, pitches high. Gibbons throws a strike. Perfect.
Whew. Sure was. Perfect pitch to throw on if you're a catcher. Fastball up in the strike zone. And again, Gedman, 88 attempts throughout 44, 50. The league average is only 32, so it gives you an idea of what kind of arm he has. There you see not a great lead. Then you see the perfect throw. Owen takes it, makes the tag, and you already have an out.
Joyner then hits one down to second, and Marty Barrett takes care of him. So 2 away, and Brian Downing will be the batter.
It really sets up an interesting thought. One of the things that Earl Weaver told me, I guess early in my career, is with nobody out and a left-handed hitter at the plate, don't worry too much about the base runner, because most managers want to take advantage of that hole. They're not going to run until you get one out. Mock did differently, and instead of creating that situation, you have 2 outs in the inning.
Well, Mock, especially at home, does not play for that big inning. And he's got Candelaria on the mound tonight, too, so he might not need a big inning. Down low, 1-0. Meanwhile, sort of a phantom tag here in a way as we take a look. The throw is obviously there, and did Pettis get in or not?
Well, really, that's a play you don't have to tag him on, because the umpire, even though maybe he shouldn't do that, seeing if you watch Major League Baseball, all he is doing is seeing, as you take a look at maybe one of the, well, not maybe the greatest hitter of all time, especially in Boston history, Ted Williams. All you have to do is get the ball ahead that soon, and you're out.
It's funny because we flew to Anaheim the other night, flew out here with the umpiring crew, and one of the things we were kibitzing about was the in-the-neighborhood play. And basically what it is if you execute the play the way it is supposed to be executed, you'll get the call on the double play on a play like that. The throw is there, the tag goes down, and even though it wasn't totally manifested, the play was executed well enough to get the call. Meanwhile, Downing has gone on strikes, and we're scoreless after 1.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, be sure to pick up.
Listen to
On Wednesday in Boston, this one, Moose Stubing not giving a visual sign. Grich thrown out, and here is Bobby's reflection.
Well, I still feel that you know, I've got to play aggressive baseball out there. As a base runner, the ball's hit, the base hit left field. I'm thinking score. I'm thinking I'm going to score the tying run. And until the third base coach fires his hands up in the air and holds me, I'm going home. And I did not see any hands in the air. Simple as that. He's got to wave you home, or he's got to hold you up, and that's the ground I stand on, and that's the way I've learned to play baseball and learned to run the bases, and that's all there is to it.
Rice.
So Grich making his point. He did apologize to Stubing in the sense the other day that he said, I didn't mean to show you up. Moose accepted it, and away we go.
Well, I talked to Moose about it, and he said, I've gotten away with that. In other words, not putting my hands up all year. Look at Jim Rice foul off the first pitch with Schofield and Pettis. A little different story. Bobby Grich doesn't have their speed, so he did make a mistake. I think where Bobby's coming from, and having played with him for 4 or 5 years, he's a very intense player, is that play might have a big bearing on how this really playoff series is determined.
1-1. And meanwhile, as Rice stands in to be followed by Baylor and Evans, Stubing didn't hide the other day. He had to stand there and take it and answer the questions and admit he'd made the mistake. I loved Scott Ostler's line in the LA Times recounting Stubing in the clubhouse, enjoying a beer with 150 of his closest media friends. 1-2 on Rice. You will attract attention in postseason.
Well, he just knows he made a mistake. And again, We talk a game of first, and that's not a graphic. It goes back to that percentage. In the American League, if you go back and the first runner gets on, 51% of the time they score to get the first batter out. It's only 14, so is the first batter important or not? I think I would say so. Cantelari's been able to retire him.
Fouled away in the count 2-2 on Rice, who started the series silently. He was 0 for 4 in game 1 and did not hit a ball out of the infield. And then he was 0 for 3 the other day until he singled and hit the 2-run homer. That was the icing on a 9-2 cake. Still 2-2 on Rice.
Jim Rice is one of those really rare blend of hitters that hits for an average over 300 going into the season, and also home runs. And we talked about the lifetime 351 home runs during regular season, so he can hurt you in a number of ways.
And the 2-2 is inside. 3-2 the count. Light's taking effect here. It's clouded up a bit in October at about 12 minutes before 6. Not bad for the visual conditions. Breaking ball inside, and Rice is on. So, sure enough, you put up a graphic that says 19 consecutive innings in which you don't allow the leadoff man on, and Rice draws the walk.
It also gives you an idea of how much confidence Cantelari has in his pitching selection. Normally, you figure, I'll just throw him a fastball. He threw him a breaking ball, just missed with it.
Baylor rips one by DeCinces and out into left field for a base hit. Rice will stop at second, and so the Red Sox have 2 on with nobody out, and that's Baylor's 4th hit of the playoffs.
That's where it pays off to be a left-handed pitcher. If you're right-handed and the next hitter's left-handed, hits one into right field, you have first and third. Here Baylor nails it. DeCinces dives, can't come up with it. Still have the double play in order. You only have 1 runner in scoring position. And really, I suppose you have a guy that had a terrific year in Dwight Evans, 26 home runs, but a double play man if he hits the ball on the ground. So if you're John McNamara, do you sacrifice and try to get the 2 runs, or do you let him hit away?
I think I let him hit away, and I think I let him hit away because if he sacrifices, you've got Rice at third, Baylor at second, Gedman, a left-handed batter, coming up next, and you know how tough Candy is against lefties. Then if he got Gedman, he'd walk Armish and face Owen and probably be out of the inning. So Evans is up there to swing away and take low.
Pretty good. I like that. I'll do the play-by-play and you do the analyst. That was wonderful.
But can you sing?
Not like Sammy Davis. Of course, the good point is neither one of us has to make the decision and really
right.
and manage.
We get the first guess and the third one. 1-1 the count.
Of course, you know what a manager's definition of second guessing is. Criticism.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. The Angels still have to play a little bit honestly anyway, as it's fouled away. And now with 2 strikes, they can back up. DeCinces had been about even with a bag and kind of backing up. And now, of course, with 2 strikes, he can go back to where he'd normally be.
That's a great quote from Gene Mauch, the manager of the Angels. He says, I have to play 486 games a year. 1 game before he goes out there, then the game that he actually does, and then the game afterwards for the reporters. So you can multiply it by 3. Managing is not easy. It's a lot like umpiring.
1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Red Sox threatening no score in the second inning. Just outside, throw to first base. They've got him. Joyner sneaking in behind Baylor.
If you want to place the blame on anybody, it goes right to Donnie Baylor, but the first base coach has to let you know. He comes off with a pitch. Right now, you see Joyner's footsteps in the top of the picture. Reniak has to let him know, otherwise you are trying to get a lead, try to break up a double play.
Paul Reniak, the Red Sox first base coach, and you heard what may have sounded like booing to you. Of course, it was Boone, Boone, and Don Baylor, the veteran, trapped and becoming the first out of the inning. And funny in this series how anonymous coaches can be from time to time, and all of a sudden you got a situation here where now Reniak is involved. 2-2 pitches outside, ball 3, and the count 3-2. So Rice at second base. 1 out, 3-2 the count on Evans. Still 3-2.
You have to give Bob Boone a lot of credit again. When Candelaria gets ahead of the hitter, as a catcher, you can have the pickoff plays on. I really thought he almost took strike 3 away from him, but he'll take the out for a strike.
Rip foul.
The reason I say that, when a catcher comes up in front of the umpire, which Boone had to do to make that throw, pretty close pitch to Evans. But again, it's an out for a strike, and first and second, nobody out, you'll take that.
To the hole and a base hit, and Rice had to hold up to see if it would be fielded, and Mussie is stopped at third. And the Red Sox with runners at the corners, and Gedman coming up. So Candelaria still here as we watch the base hit to left field in a situation where with the right pitch he'll get out of the inning on 1 pitch if he can get Gedman to hit the ball proficiously on the ground. And wouldn't that be something with a walk and 2 singles to be out of the inning? Boone picking Baylor off, and now the Angels hopeful of a double play. Breaking pitch away, 1-0.
Gedman hit 16 home runs. 5 of them came off left-handers, so I suppose he still has power. If you make a mistake, he can really hit you well.
Back through the middle, base hit for Gedman. Rice coming in to score. Evans stopping at second, and Boston on top, 1-0. So he gets Gedman to hit it on the ground, but not in the right spot, and Gedman hit it sharply.
All 3 hits have been ground balls, but they have been hit sharply. Again, usually when you give up a lot of ground ball hits, as a pitcher, you say, well, they're only grounders, but that usually means that you're getting the ball in the middle of the plate. You're not making the pitches on the corners that you'd like, and they're getting the fat part of the bat on the fat part of the ball.
And Armas pops it up, and that's an infield fly and an automatic out, and a 3 in your scorebook. Joyner with a putout and 2 down, with Evans still at second and Gedman at first, and we'll see Spike Owen.
Number 5, the shortstop, Spike Owen.
A walk, 3 singles in the inning, but 1 run in the big play. Baylor getting trapped as Owen, the number 9 hitter, stands in. Spike, a switch hitter. And better from this side. Takes inside, ball 1. 1-0 the count.
About 140 points better from the right side. Only home run of the year, right-handed. So you turn him around, he becomes a better hitter.
Chopper off the plate. Tough play. Candelaria throws and gets it by a half step. But the Red Sox take the lead at the end of 1.5. 1-0 Boston.
Today, for your tough headache pain, there's a superior level of pain-relieving strength. Nuprin Strength. Beyond regular strength aspirin, beyond extra strength Tylenol, now there's Nuprin Strength. This new medical study proves too little Nuprin give more pain relief than extra strength Tylenol. So Nuprin stops headaches better. And remember, Nuprin is gentler to your stomach than aspirin. For strength beyond extra strength Tylenol, Nuprin Strength.
Alpha team, aggressor tank spotted.
In a battle drill, you need horsepower, firepower, people power. That's teamwork.
Moving tank, direct front, 2,000.
This team uses a computer, thermal sight, laser rangefinder.
Ah! Yeah! All that you can.
We win, the whole tank wins. The whole team wins, not just one person.
Find your future in the Army.
It's Sears' biggest hardware sale of the year, with savings on hundreds of items. This Craftsman garage door opener with 2 transmitters, now $159.88. this Craftsman 3/8" drill with screwdriver bit set, or this circular saw, $39.99 each. And this Craftsman power blower with vac attachment, now $59.98. But hurry, Sears National Hardware Sale ends October 11th. There's more for your life in our new century.
At Sears. Reggie Jackson to lead things off for California, bottom of the second inning. And here's the way he sums up his season.
Not bad, not good. You know, I'm a guy that usually looked for 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. And I think last year people thought that I tailed off when I hit 27 home runs and drove in 85 runs. Now this year I'm down at 58 runs batted in and 18 home runs. But I guess I could say, well, I had 90-some walks and I was on base a lot and that kind of thing. And I did hit 18 home runs and I am 40 years old. But Al, when you start trying to reason why or trying to analyze how you had a good year, then you really hadn't had a good year.
But there's still October left.
Plenty of it. If you win the playoffs.
So here we go to the bottom of the second inning. 1-0 Red Sox. Last time that a playoff game was played in Anaheim here in 1982 against Milwaukee, Reggie hit one out.
Also, all 18 home runs were off right-handed pitching. So that's, if you want to make excuses for Reggie, he did not play that much against left-handers this year. The tune system didn't get as many at-bats as last year. Also didn't hit any home runs off any left-handers. So if you're Gene Mauch and you want to win, maybe that's part of being 40.
2-0 the count. Sometimes with all of the numbers that come by you, you've got to put things in perspective. 548 lifetime homers, so he's sixth. Back to Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Frank Robinson, Harmon Killebrew. Then Reggie. 2-1 pitch is hit in the air to center field. Crowd seeing it with its heart and not its eyes, and down he goes on a fly ball to Armas. 1 up and 1 down in the bottom of the second inning, and DeCinces is the batter. One reason the crowd responds like that, even a fly ball, a routine fly ball, sounds louder off Jackson's bat than off most others.
It's a typical reaction you get in Boston because of the small proximities or distances of the fences. Every time a fly ball goes up, so does the roar from the crowds.
And the backing there for DeCinces, one of several Angels whose future would be in question. Last years of contracts and the age of this ball club and the economics of baseball these days, etc., etc. And so DeCinces at least getting a vote sign-wise. Oil Can Boyd to the plate 0-1, hit high in the air to left field and routine for Jim Rice. That's the second out, and Rupert Jones will come to the plate. And muttering to himself, DeCinces coming back to the dugout.
Well, most hitters will do that. You get a pretty good pitch in the middle of the plate. Doug's a fastball hitter. You can see the nod of the head right there. Thought he should have done a little bit more with that pitch than he did.
That's normally the case if you go to a ball game and you see somebody do something pretty routine, ground to second or fly to center, and they're real angry. That's normally what they're doing. They're talking to themselves. Should have hit it.
Unless you're the Oil Can, and then you talk to yourself all the time out there. But we talked about temperance. They've tried to get him not to really be as demonstrative on the mound as he used to be. A lot of players felt that he showed them up. I think a lot of it could be written off as exuberance. But one thing, opposing players don't like to get struck out and then have you doing all kinds of demonstrations on the mound.
In the air, down the line, and back out of play. And the count 1-1. Meanwhile, Bruce Hurst, who won the second game of the LCS. And Roger Clemens will go tomorrow. If you've not already heard the announcement made by McNamara yesterday affirming that. And then game 5 is in question right now. Do you bring Hurst back with 3 days rest? Just what do you do? Nipper? Swing and a miss. I would think in good measure, it might depend on what happens today and tomorrow, as Roger Clemens, who will work tomorrow, charts the game tonight. 2 out, bases empty. And the 1-2 pitch to Rupert Jones is a half-swing, slow bouncer. Barrett to Buckner. California gone 1-2-3, and at the end of 2 complete, it's the Red Sox 1 and the Angels nothing. Helicopter above Anaheim Stadium, a ballpark that opened in 1966. It was enclosed just a few years ago. The stands used to extend only to about the foul poles, and then they enclosed it when the Rams moved here. Meanwhile, Game 3 in the National League Championship Series, Astros, Mets, Nepper and Darling tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 o'clock in the morning out here. 3rd inning, 1-0 Boston, and Wade Boggs at the plate. Flied out in the 1st. To left field, toward the line, and Downing races over and makes the grab. Brian Downing, who was positioned in that direction because Boggs likes to go to all fields, including left. And he was over toward the line and gets there for the out, 1 down.
Well, that's his best field, and right here, the man that 244 consecutive games without an error. The scouting report on him is he catches everything he gets to. He got to that one, and he got out number 1. So now we have the first batter retired in, what, 20 out of the last 21st innings.
Barrett the batter. Strike. Thinking of the National League Series, we had Sammy Davis here tonight. Last night, Keith Jackson and Tim McCarver talking about Kevin Bass doing a Davis imitation. I mean, we've got to see it now, right? Now that we've seen the real Sammy.
Was that the real Sammy?
I don't know. Barrett's thrown out by Schofield, and there are 2 down.
Sure sounded like him.
First baseman, Bill.
I met Sammy Davis with Kenny Singleton years ago. Came to a ball game. I remember this only because I won the game. And I had a surprise birthday party for a friend of mine, 40th birthday. He came after doing a show. He was leaving to go do a charity thing in New York State till 7:30 in the morning. Nobody would leave. I wanted them all out of my house. We had an exhibition game in Annapolis the next day. And as long as Sammy stayed, they stayed.
And
rather memorable.
And you called me a name dropper the other day? Buckner bounces it foul. You saw that graphic, the other home run belonging to Darrell Evans, left-handed.
Of course, the difference is that you brought up taking the polar route a multitude of times.
I only brought this up to get Kevin Bass to do his Davis imitation tomorrow and imitate Keith. Keith mentioned that last night. No balls, 1 strike, the count on Buckner. 2 down, bases empty in the 3rd. 1-0 Boston. Fouled away, and the count is 0-2. John Candelaria set the side down in the 1st. Then in the 2nd, Red Sox got a run on a walk and 3 ground singles, and might have had a bigger inning, except Don Baylor got picked off.
Well, that's a big pickoff to remember. Kept the Angels in the game, took them out of a big inning situation, talking about the Red Sox.
In on his hands and fouled away. Candelaria pitched a no-hitter for the Pirates against the Dodgers in 1976. The thing I remember about that game, because it was a Monday night game, is that the Dodgers that evening had all right-handed batters outside of Bill Buckner in the lineup. And then when Buckner's spot came up the last time, the Dodgers went with Manny Mota. Outside, 1-2. And as I recall, in that no-hitter, there was nothing even remotely resembling a base hit. As you look at a man we just mentioned before in context with Reggie Jackson, Frank Robinson.
There it is, right there.
Gentleman that came over to a team I played on and got us to the World Series. 49 home runs in the regular season, and then topped it off with 2 in the World Series, both off Don Drysdale. No offense, he had a fabulous career in the Hall of Fame 2 years ago.
Boy, were those great confrontations.
Well, Don Baylor, we've been talking about, 35 times hit by pitch. Frank Robinson went down a few times in his career.
And again, Buckner loses his bat, and that pitch is just wicked. Candelaria just uncoils and slings it in from the side, and down he goes.
Oh, way out on his front foot. Can't quite reach it. Maybe the bat will.
ABC Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by Allstate. For home, auto, and life insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate.
Beautiful evening at Anaheim Stadium. Temperature in the mid to upper 60s. Capacity crowd. Game 3, 1-0 Boston. Bottom of the third. Bobby Grich to lead things off for California. Bottom of the order against Boyd. Takes a strike. The Angels, with Grich leading off, managed by Gene Mock, his second tour here with California. And Mock in his 25th year. The 0-1 pitch is popped in the air and playable for Boggs near third. One gone, and we'll take a look at Schofield. Gene Mock is a very fascinating man, and if you love the game and follow the game and have had the chance to know him, I think you'll agree. And there he is, the skipper, and a man who has been so unjustly maligned because everybody talks about 64 in Philadelphia, and then they rekindle that with 82 and the fact that he's never won a pennant. He is a fascinating man in the sense that he has managed some terrible ball clubs. Remember when he took over the Phillies back in 1960, he took over for a manager who had quit after an opening day loss, Eddie Sawyer. That's how bad that team was. And Schofield goes after the first pitch and bounces it wide of third, and Boggs comes up throwing, 2 down. And we'll take a look at Bob Boone, and the crowd will go boom, boom. But that club was so bad, Eddie Sawyer told the owner, Bob Carpenter, at the time, as we watch Boggs again, I'm 49, I want to live to be 50. And then Mock's 61 Phillies lost 23 in a row. In 64, they blew the lead. Gene lasted through 68 and took over in 69, an expansion team at Montreal, tried to make a lot out of very little. And then to Minnesota, where bucks weren't spent particularly freely. And then finally to California, where in 82 he leads the team to a division crown. And then they lose the playoffs in 5 as Boone fouls it away. And then Mock needed a rest. He needed a rest after the 82 season. And he went home, and then of all things, his wife, who he dearly loved, Nina Lee, became sick, died of cancer. Gene putted around, played golf, took a front office job, and finally came back. It was a marriage described by his daughter Leanne as like two people going steady. And now the man is back, and he says it freely. I need baseball more than ever, and told us the other night, I want to win this more than I want food when I'm hungry. So Boone grounds out. California down in order. We played 3. Boston on top, 1-0.
2 out of 3 Indy drivers rely.
An MVP candidate. What does he think?
In my mind, no. We just finished playing the New York Yankees, and Don Mattingly had a hell of a year. And of course, I don't know how the writers are going to vote. But this year, I think it's going to be a tough decision to make any MVP. But still, I think an MVP should go to an everyday ball player. And whomever they decide is going to win MVP, I think it should be an everyday ball player.
Honest answer from an honest man as Rice, Baylor, and Evans come up in the 4th inning. There it is, Rice with a leadoff walk. Baylor, a base hit, got picked off. Gedman driving in Rice with a base hit as we go to the 4th inning. Just a postscript, Jim, and talked so much about Gene Mock in the last inning, and I mentioned Gene saying he wants to win more than he wants food when he's hungry. His friends feel the same way about him. They want this from Mock. He's a very special man.
Well, I always say that guy that played against him, you have a lot of admiration for him because he was always on top of things. Does like to have his finger on top of everything that's going on the field. I think the most interesting
California. Al Michaels and Jim Palmer with you. And that's the day after tomorrow now. Game 5 is a day game, and there are the times at the bottom of your screen, 2:30 in the east and 11:30 in the morning when we come on the air Sunday out here. The Red Sox with first possible on 3 days rest against Mike Witt, who was so brilliant Tuesday. Pettis, Joyner, Downing, bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0 Boston. Pettis has been California's only base runner. He walked in the 1st, and then he was gunned down by Gedman. And Oil Can has not given up a hit through 3. For the record, by the way, for those of you who don't follow and watch only postseason baseball and wondering about Oil Can, oil is beer, or they call beer oil in Meridian, Mississippi. And thus the derivative of that nickname. Fouled away, and the count 1-2.
We talked about earlier about all the things that have been said over the summer about Oil Can, the controversy in Boston and so forth, but the 2 recurring themes that come back are the importance of his family. Number 1, don't mess with my family and give me the ball. All he wants to do is pitch. And again, I think that's what Don Baylor said early April. Leave the man alone. Let him go do what he does best.
Look what he found. Wow.
He's an excellent fielding pitcher. Seen him use the curveball on a couple of occasions. Right here, he throws one to Pettis. Kelson hits it right back up the middle, and it's one of those plays where if you don't react quickly, which Oil Can did, you have a speedy guy that can steal bases on first. It made the play, and it's another example of a pitcher helping himself.
Wally Joyner grounded out in the 1st inning. Strike, and the count 0-1.
Again, you're going to be able to be more overpowering if you have 4 pitches you can get over. There we saw another curveball. So far, we've seen a good slider to the right-handers. We've seen a screwball to the left-handers. Got a strikeout. Brian Downing on a good curveball. And then we've seen a fastball that's right around 90 miles per hour. So if you get them all over, the only walk, as you said, have been to Pettis, you're going to be impressive.
Oil Can, one of 14 children. His father was a professional ball player with the old Homestead Braves, Willie James Boyd. 2 of his brothers played in the minors. As he fouls it away, and it's still 1-2. Wally Joyner, the rookie, and again the man who succeeds Rod Carew at first base, had never played an inning of Major League ball until this year. A lot of rookies come up at the end of one season and then really blossom the next when they're still officially rookies. But Joyner had never been here. 2-2.
Again, the tremendous faith that the Angels have in their farm system. We've talked throughout the series. 9 present players on the roster, potential free agents, may not be signed here. And part of the reasons there are some young players on the roster that are active for the playoffs that might take places of some of the veteran players, but also in the minor leagues.
He reaches for it, lines it to right, base hit. So Joyner sweeping at the pitch and hitting it into right field for a single, and the Angels have their first hit.
One thing Wally Joyner can do, 20 home runs the first half, only 2 the second half, but there takes what you consider a good pitch and just kind of pings it into right. Gets out on his front foot, bat stays back, still has enough left to hit a line drive to right field for a base hit.
Brian Downing has been Boyd's only strikeout victim.
Potential free agents we talked about, and Interesting comment from Gene Mauch is that if you bat him high in the lineup, in other words, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere in there, he scores a lot of runs. You bat him 3rd, like tonight, he drives in a lot of runs. So here's a player that can do a lot for you. And if you've been following Major League Baseball, they've gone from 25-man rosters to 24. Just all the teams have adhered to that all year. Here's a guy that can catch for you. Came up as a catcher with the White Sox.
Inning. Time was called after he backed off and then to flip to first.
Joyner really not much of a threat to go. Doesn't have tremendous speed. He'd rather hit the home run and walk around the bases. Stole 5 bases and was only thrown out 2 of those times. And you see a pitch out. Again, the key to a pitch out is to make the runner feel that you are making a normal pitch. To change or alter your windup, he identifies with that immediately, and it's going to stop the stolen base attempt.
Base hit to left field. Joyner stops at second. So Boyd is in his first dilemma of the evening with the Red Sox on top 1-0. Joyner at second, Downing at first, and the man is at the plate.
Sure is. As we said, all 18 home runs off right-handed pitching. And I think the most amazing thing about Oil Can Boyd is normally right-handers get right-handed hitters out better and left-handers get left-handed hitters better. Oil Can's the opposite. The left-handers hit 254 against him. The right-handers hit 281. So there's almost a 30-point difference.
Shallow left field. And the catch is made by Spike Owen. It was not shallow enough for an infield fly. The automatic sign was never given that time, so Owen had to make the catch. 2 down, and DeCinces will be coming up.
I think the reason for that 30-point difference is that basically one of his best pitchers is the screwball, and it's very effective to left-handed hitters, even though he jammed Reggie with a high fastball. And then you get a guy like Doug DeCinces up there who's right-handed with not very good numbers against Boyd. Pretty much takes away the screwball from a right-hander to a right-hander.
Doug DeCinces with 2 on, 2 out. 1-0 Boston. Bottom of the 4th inning. And a visit from Gedman. Requested by Boyd. It's funny, I'm looking at Boyd and I'm thinking back to the shot we had in the stands the other day of Mark Fidrich. He's not quite as demonstrative. But remember the way the Bird used to walk around, talk to his infielders, talk to himself, gesture? Little squibber right up the line, hits the bag, base hit, and a run coming to the plate, and Buckner throws. Safe is the call on a non-slide, and Gedman going at it with Cooney. And McNamara in a 6.2 60-yard dash gets there as well. Meanwhile, that's the weirdest looking little ground ball I've ever seen. And now McNamara has to think about a bunch of things, among them keeping Boyd in the game because he's angrier than Gedman. And the umpires are now discussing it amongst themselves. It's the weirdest looking, and of course we'll see the replay. Little ground ball I've seen in a long time.
Well, it's right off the end of the bat, and Terry Cooney, the home plate umpire's responsibility, as apparently Richie Garcia, whose call it is, he's the third base umpire, apparently made the call.
And whatever the call is, are they going to call him out at
it has to be. The responsibility in this play, Al, is that the home plate umpire on a ball between first and home has to call whether the ball is fair or foul. The third base umpire is supposed to come from third base as we take another look. You can see it right off. It's a pool cue shot, as they call.
Starts out foul and comes back
now,
fair.
Terry Cooney is making the call right here. He goes up the line, and then the ball hits the bag. Can goes for it. Buckner picks it up, and he makes a play.
Now the home plate umpire, Cooney, out of your picture, is up the line. Here's the throw. No slide, and Gedman trying to make the tag.
He looks safe.
He does in that shot. He certainly does. Joyner now. Here's Mock really going at it. Cooney and Garcia was the umpire at third.
Well, what Terry Cooney just said, excuse me, is that I asked for help, and the help should come from the gentleman on your left, number 9, Richie Garcia, because it's his call. Responsibility shifts.
And Gene evidently says whatever he said is enough to get him tossed. He gets tossed by Nick Bremigan. There is nobody, of course, who knows the rule book any better than Gene Mock, and whatever it was, Mock said the wrong word or words, and that's the end of that story.
Again, if you slide, you can see Gedman blocking the plate. Again, it's very hard to tell from that angle. From the other angle, he looks safe. Again, Terry Cooney went to the gentleman right there. It's not 9, it's 19, Richie Garcia. And this has nothing to do with the rule book. It's a judgment play. So apparently Mock did say something profane or whatever, and he's gone.
It's a base hit for DeCense, the weirdest looking little ground ball you'll ever see. And then Joyner is thrown out from Buckner to Gedman because we're assuming that it's Garcia who overrules Cooney after Cooney had asked for help. Here it is again. Again, the third base umpire making the call.
And he's safe. His foot is definitely on the base. Again, one of the cardinal sin that most base runners can do is not slide. And of course, that's a determination. It's easy to make up here, but maybe Joyner felt Gedman had the plate block, so let's stand up, and he got called out.
And so we've played 4, and it's wild and woolly, and it's still 1-0 Boston.
Time's running out to play make.
Gene Mock obviously very upset about a couple of things. Number one, the call itself, the play itself, and the resolution thereof. And secondarily, of course, the fact he has been ejected from the game. And so he and Rich Garcia still in conference as Candelaria continues warming up for California.
Of course, I think the key here, Al, is that Gene is not going to win this argument, and let's get the game started because I don't want my pitcher, if I'm managing, standing out there. Here's a guy coming off elbow surgery. So if you plead your case, which he's certainly done because this argument's gone on about 8 minutes, you're not happy about being thrown out, but let's get back to the game, whether it's fair or not. I think they missed the call. I think Richie Garcia was a little bit out of position as you take another look right off the end of the bat. As I said, they call this a pool cue. That's how you shoot pool. There's the base hit. Buckner really maybe could have gotten to it a little bit earlier, has the presence of mind to pick it up. Here's the second part of the play. Now, where is Richie Garcia? His responsibility is third base to make this call. Apparently he did. I'm not sure he made the right call.
No, according to the replay, he didn't. Again, another look at how many ground balls do you ever see start out foul and come back fair, and then of all things, hit the bag.
Again,
bumper pull
of the ball.
Meanwhile, Mock again. Now here's the deal as you watch once more the replay. Mock has been ejected from the game. What will happen here? A couple of things. He will officially give the lineup card to one of his coaches, be it Moose Stubing, perhaps will carry the card, and then Marcel Latchman, the pitching coach, will have that responsibility. This is one of those ballparks where there's a runway, like most parks, from the dugout back to the clubhouse. And oftentimes what the manager will do is he'll stay out of view. So he doesn't get a very good glimpse of the game, but he'll still call the shots if he wants from the runway. And the umpires know what's going on, normally overlook it to the extent, hey, look, their theory is if you stay out of view, all right. But it sometimes makes for not as instantaneous a type of communication as you would like. So there goes Mock, and we would assume he'll just travel a few feet back down that runway and remain there. As you see Latchman in the picture, stooping on the bench. And that's the way the Angels will have to run the rest of the game. Gene was ejected twice previously this season.
Well, it usually takes a lot to get thrown out of a postseason game, whether it's World Series or playoff. Umpires will bend over backwards to let a player maybe have his say because it affects the outcome of the game, and so does the manager. Again, as you said, he will manage from a very close proximity.
And Gedman loops one into right field for a base hit. So Jones gets it back in, and Gedman is 2 for 2 off the left-hander. Crowd still angry as Armas comes to the plate. You make a good point, Jim, in the sense that, and it's one of the things we were mentioning flying out here the other night with the umpires, and another thing we talked about was the ejection situation in postseason play, and what you try to do. I mean, the theory is, hey, look, you've got to umpire the same way, be it spring training, regular season, postseason, in theory, but they're human too, and you're right, it does take a little bit more in postseason. To deep right field, and that one's off the fence on a mistimed jump by Jones. Gedman, who's a slow runner, has to be held at third on a double by Armas. And I wonder if that delay, that long delay, is now taking its toll on Candelaria.
Well, the ball was hit extremely hard. You don't see it from this angle, but Jones' first step was in, and he cannot get back in time. Makes a valiant effort, but for naught. So again, we talked about the elbow problems that Candelaria has had. He said he's not 100%. As you take a look at the the roof camera, Armas only 11 home runs this year, of 23 the year before, but led the American League with 43 the year before, and Jones again with a great effort. But the first step was in. Again, the strength of Armas allowed him to maybe fool Rupert Jones. Hit the ball a lot harder than he thought it was hit.
Now Spike Owen and the Angel infield playing back at short and second, so they'll give up a run on the ground ball, trying to stay out of a big inning. In there for a strike, and the count is 0-1. The problem you have if you play the infield in here, even though you're down 1-0, you get the number 9 hitter punching one through the infield, and 2 runs are in, and then you got Boggs and Barrett and Buckner in the top of the order.
Get the hitters you want up there.
Fouled away, and the count 0-2.
And we said Spike Owen, much better hitter from the right side, but as most hitters in run-scoring situations, they expand the strike zone. Right there, swung a ball out of the strike zone. Candelaria knows that. Been around a long time. He's going to try to get him to fish at a ball.
Almost got him. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count.
Again, the difference between a good breaking ball and a bad one is the tightness of the spin. And with a good hard slider, said a slider is a lot like a fastball, where it looks like a fastball till it gets really at a point right in front of home plate and then breaks suddenly.
1-2 pitch is cued down to first, and it's Joyner making the play, and the runner's holding. Joyner was kind of in a halfway position, and he could afford to be because Gedman can't run. Armas remains at second, so Joyner positioned perfectly, and they get the first out with Boggs at the plate.
Sure it was. You play your first and your third baseman in. And if you do hit it at either one of them, you keep a run from scoring, and they were able to do that.
I'm sitting here thinking if this were the NFL right now, the game would be tied.
Maybe.
At least tied. The replay official, we would assume under circumstances such as that, would have overruled the decision. 2-0.
Again, Candelaria wanted that pitch, and talking about a hitter, Wade Boggs led the American League with 107 walks. lot of times the close pitches go to him.
Sweeping breaking pitch, and the count 3-0. Barrett is on deck. This is one of those cases where you really don't want to give him, as you look at Marty Barrett, you don't want to give Boggs anything decent. The worst thing that happens is that you walk the batting champion, and then maybe you get the next hitter to hit one on the ground, get a force at home.
Of course, the next guy also had the highest batting average at 354 for runners in scoring position, so it's a calculated gamble. That Boggs hits left-handers extremely well, 352, so really you have to go with your instincts and to make that determination which batter you'd like to pitch to. Barrett is a double play man, though, if you load him up.
And that's on for ball 4. So he walks Boggs, gives him nothing decent to offer at, and now Barrett comes up. Marty has twice hit the ball on the ground tonight.
Really, and to think about Boggs, you have to go back. We talked about Jim Rice and Reggie Jackson, 548 home runs up there with Mays and people like Frank Robinson. An interesting thing, you got to go back to Stan Musial, what Boggs was able to do. Over 200 hits and over 100 walks. It hasn't been since 1953 that's happened. So, very disciplined hitter, and now you have a double play man up. But also at 364 with runners in scoring position. He's had one heck of a year.
In there for a strike, 0-1. Funny, Barrett looking over toward the dugout. If they were thinking about a squeeze, the sign would come from there. He never looked at Latchman at third. Infield double play depth and time call now with the count 0-1. 1-0 Boston, 5th inning. Popped up. 2 gone. Big out. And now Buckner, who has swung futilely at 2 sweeping breaking pitches, losing his bat on both occasions.
You said it's a key out, and usually the great pitchers, and Candelaria at 10-2 this year has really been that on his last 3 starts. Whatever it comes down to, there's a tremendous stat. Man does not walk, but very rarely ever strikes out. First 2 times up, 2 strikeouts. And again, Buckner did not have a great year against left-handers. Last year, he almost hit 300, a little bit over 300 against right-handers, and 291 against lefties. This year, maybe because of the ankle, and maybe because of the fact they adjusted the way they pitched to him, he did not have that kind of year. Down in the 220.
That's the same pitch which they'll be seeing in his sleep tonight, and the count is 0-1. Bases loaded, 2 down, 5th inning at Anaheim. Boston on top, 1-0. A run, 5 hits for the Sox. No runs, 3 hits for the Angels.
Again, as you said, this is the first game. There's a man over 2,500 hits. He's saying, stay back, stay back. Again, the breaking ball, the spin is so tight, he can't distinguish, apparently, the fastball from the breaking ball.
Again. This is an old movie for Buckner.
Well, it looks like an instant replay. Way out from the side, big sweeping slurve. Buckner says, I don't want to swing at it. I don't think he can really pick it up very well. You talk to any hitters, really the good ones, when they say they're hot, they said, I can see the ball real well. Buckner is not seeing the ball very well tonight. Candelaria has a lot to do with that.
The way this is going, this would be off the board in Reno and Vegas.
You got to understand, Buckner thinks that Candelaria is coming from about right center field. 6'7", probably 38-inch arms.
1-2. Bases loaded. Gedman off to his lead at third. There's Armas. And Boggs to his lead now at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Really one of those situations where Candelaria can make the pitches he's made all night. He'll get him out. If he hangs one inside, Buckner will probably hit it.
Makes contact from an easy grounder, and the Candyman works out of it. And at the end of 4.5 in Game 3, still 1-0 Sox.
Why just eat at home tonight when cooking with cheese glorious?
Come on, give me a light.
You asked for it, Steve. Yes, Steve. Bud Light. The light beer with the first name and taste.
Don't just ask for a light.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light, Steve.
Not from high above Anaheim Stadium. Chuck Howard piloting that helicopter, and Chet Forty, our cameraman. Just kidding, guys. They're everywhere. Beautiful shot looking down into what they call the Big A in Orange County. As we go to the bottom of the 5th inning, and Rupert Jones swings and misses. Now that looks more like Euchre than the guy the other night. I mean, he's dressed more like Euchre anyway.
Casual.
Spiffy. Time called. Light on in the stand, so they'll rectify that. Meanwhile, tomorrow, game 3. Houston against New York. Nepper and Darling go at it. It's a noon Eastern time game, so have breakfast out on the West Coast and watch it at 9 a. And then tomorrow, we're on at 5 o'clock Pacific and 8 Eastern from here. Barrett, and Boyd has to cover and gets there. So Oil Can does his job as Buckner went after the ball. 4-1 in the scorebook. 1 gone, and Gritch comes up.
Again, an alert play by the Can. One thing we have to look for tonight is that we did lead all Boston pitchers in home runs thrown with 32, and you would think, again, because of the size of Fenway Park, a park that's conducive to hitting home runs in it, I think most of them would have been thrown, but he threw more on the road, 19 to 13. So watch the first game. Gene Mauch started Rob Wilfong at second base. Believed in platooning. Tonight, Bobby Gritch. Gene's a computer man. Probably looked at the numbers. Knows the right-handers hit the can better than left-handers. So let's not start Gritch. More power than Wilfong. Saw the intensity that Bobby can have in the second game. Still repairing the divot that his helmet took between third and home in Fenway.
1-2 the count. Yeah, the incident the other day with Moose Stubing, I had to laugh before we came on the air tonight. They're introducing the Angels, and they introduce Moose Stubing. And the great thing about being named Moose is you don't know whether they're booing you or moosing you. To left field, relatively deep, but very playable. Rice, 2 gone. Schofield comes up. And there is the Moose. Larry Moose Stubing. He's a good guy. Nobody feels worse about what took place the other day than he does. Stood there, and again, if you missed it, I'm sure most of you read about it, did not put up his hands to stop Bobby Gritch on a key play the other day. But stood there, took it, admitted it. Very decent fella. Schofield. Strike. Count 0-1. And Moose Stubing, as we mentioned the other day, is used to a lot of heat because he referees basketball games in the winter. So he can take it. Boyd dropping down for one of the rare times tonight. The count 1-1.
Also, one of his other duties is to be the batting instructor here in Anaheim. He has drawn raves from all his pupils, so it's a learning experience. Throw a home run with a hanging slider, well, you figure maybe you better not do that again. Of course, got a little carried away. Thought he was doing aerobics, throwing his hands over his head before the game. In the third base dugout.
1-1 pitch. Drilled to the gap in left center field. Rice racing over it. Can't get there. Armas plays the carom. And Schofield has a stand-up double.
One of the few mistakes that Boyd has made roof camera. Schofield really increased his power numbers this year from 8 to 13. Drives it up the gap. That's something you like to see with 2 outs if you're on the mound, because it puts a runner in scoring position. Got a long discussion with Gene Mauch how he likes to move his outfielders back with 2 outs to keep you out of that situation, keep the ball in front of you. But that ball was just smashed up the gap, no chance to catch it.
Boone at the plate, outside, ball 1, 1 to go. Soft pop-up. Boggs comes in, and just for a moment, things got pretty anxious for the Red Sox. But Boggs puts it away, and it's still 1-0 Red Sox. He wears these now. What do you see through these fog-covered tints, sir?
I see a 1-0 game. That's what I see. I'm not so vain that I have to wear contact lenses.
So what do you think through 5?
Kind of a predictable game. Not a whole lot of walks. Very controversial play. Got Gene Mauch out of the game. But well pitched. I think something that I really expected in Fenway, even though you expect more runs. But what Candelaria has done is what you're supposed to do, is keep your team in the game and hope you get some offense. And Boyd has certainly done that. He's shut out the Angels for 5 innings.
All right, so we go to the top of the 6th. 1-0. And Rice is the batter. Outside, corner for a strike.
Actually, I'm rooting for 2 quick outs so we can talk about how short you are.
Are you thinking of Chet 40? Come on, stop it. 0-1 the count.
I think of Chet 40, I think about his waistline. The reason I say that is because to make me feel as we take a look at Oil Can. Again, the impressive, not too many strikeouts, but the walks and really a whole lot of balls hit hard. When I first retired, it made me feel comfortable. When I was doing a game up in Toronto, look at some local fans. One guy that came all that 2,600 miles. They had underwear pinned on the booth, or in the booth on the walls. We see strike 3.
Down he goes on a half swing, and the commissioner, Peter Ueberroth, he's really been a traveling man. Saw him in Boston. He was in Houston last night and Anaheim tonight.
And here's a traveling fastball. Candelaria around 91 miles per hour, gives you a lot of that slow stuff, and then throws the ball right by you. Second straight strikeout of Jim Rice by John Candelaria.
Baylor at the plate. Actually, ladies, Palmer's glasses are not prescription, just regular glass. Speaking of glasses,
going back to the underwear up in Toronto. The only reason I thought of our director Chet 40 was because of the waistline. Each pair of underwear was size 40. You get it, Al? Okay.
I got it.
Now we can go back to the game.
All right.
Enough levity, so to speak.
Speaking of glasses, Brian Downing, the Angels left fielder, you'll recall for years he wore glasses, so naturally you think when he takes them off, he's wearing contact lenses. 2-1 the count. Downing says he just sees better now without him. Doesn't need the contacts. Two and 1 to count on Don Baylor. 1 out, bases empty in the 6th inning inside. And the count is 3-1. Quickly tomorrow, college football, 3 Eastern. You'll see either Miami against West Virginia or Oklahoma taking on Texas.
I like to go 3-1 on Mr. Baylor. 31 home runs, 22 on the road.
And inside, ball 4. So Baylor is on for the 2nd time tonight. First time he got on, he was picked off as the back man with runners at 1st and 2nd. And Baylor, who reached 5 times the other day, 2 singles and 3 walks, and had a double in game 1, is now on for the 8th time in the series. Only run in the game right there. Rice, the leadoff walk in the 2nd. Baylor, the base hit, picked off. but Evans singled and then Gedman singled. And that's been it. 1-0 Boston. 1 out, 1 on, 6th inning.
Guess what power does to a pitcher? It makes you respect it. And both walks have been 3-2 counts, and they've been to Rice and Baylor. So what you do, you overthrow a little bit. You know, probably looking fastball, and you want to make it a little bit extra on it. And sometimes you overthrow, and the result is a ball. And then the next guy has had a year where he's hit 26 home runs. And just as Don Baylor hit more of them away from Fenway Park, 18 on the road, 8 at home.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Meanwhile, Candelaria is getting up to that point where they have to think about going to the bullpen again. As you look at the number of pitches, 87.
And I talked to Marcel Latchman, the pitching coach, about it. I said, is there a set number? And he said, not really. Like Don Sutton, 75, 80 pitches, they start really looking closely. He said it's more or less not really the quantity, it's the quality. And anytime you're locked in a 1-0 game, you know you really can't give up another run. So you maybe work a little bit harder out there. 7-8 run lead, you can take a little bit off, not have to worry about each pitch maybe beating the ball game.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Baylor held on by Joyner. 1 out. To center field and a lot of room for Gary Pettis. 2 gone.
You break often enough, obviously.
Gedman, couple of singles tonight, so he's 2 for 2 off Candelaria, and he is now 3 for 9 in the series, and he's driven in the game's only run. 0-1. The Candyman. For Candelaria, it's a resurgence. It's a new franchise. He's pitched extremely well. A man who had to go through not only what he did in Pittsburgh toward the end when he'd worn out his welcome and wanted out, but a lot of personal tragedy as well. His son, young son, involved in a swimming pool accident, died after spending a year in a coma. So John was a man with a lot of things to think about over the past couple of years. Softly hit to shallow center field, and Pettis with that great speed. There are probably 2 guys who make that play. Pettis and Carl Lewis. 1-0 at the end of 5.5.
IBM presents.
Looking at an overhead view of, there's no substitute for speed, both offensively and defensively. If you don't have speed, you don't make the catch. Takes a base hit away, and you see so many times leads off the next inning. Nice round of applause. Fans may come in here late and leave early, but they do recognize a good defensive play when they see one.
And he's a gem. Pettis, Joyner, Downing. 1-0 Boston, bottom of the 6th inning. Pettis running up as if to bunt.
That's something he has to do. Over 125 strikeouts, and really, if you were Gene Mauch, you'd like to have a guy that can get on base, switch hitter. So they've told Gary to choke up a little bit. If you get on, you could just put a lot of speed in our lineup. And interesting, one of the men on their 24-man roster, Devon White, has better speed than Pettis from first to third. So we might have a chance to see him in this playoff, even though I think we did see him with defense in the first ball game.
1-2 to him. In there. Ball, strike 3. And Oil Can is really into it now.
Well, he sure is, and talked about framing the pitch. Look for yourself. Gedman gives him the target a little bit off the corner. The Can puts it right in the middle of the glove, and you get a strikeout. Again, we talked about how important it is to get the first guy out. Even more important when you have a guy that can steal 50 bases like Pettis.
Joyner grounded out, singled, and then was called out at the plate on the key play in the game. High, ball one. And the count 2-0. One out, nobody on, bottom of the 6th inning. Game 3 with the series squared at a game apiece. Red Sox leading here 1-0. 3-0 the count with Downing waiting on deck. Joyner checking with Stubing. And ball 4. First walk that Boyd has yielded since Pettis led off in the 1st inning by drawing one. And Gedman to the mound as Downing comes to the plate.
What he came out for is to say, hey, you threw a couple of borderline pitches that could have been strikes, and they weren't. Let's get Downing. Had one heck of a year. Over 90 RBIs with 20 home runs, but he is a double play man if you get him, induce him to hit a ground ball. And to chronicle the type of offensive year the Angels have had, Joyner carried him early to Sensei in August, and on that graphic you can see Downing had one heck of a September.
Strike, 0-1. Deck. I think you recognize it. Rip to left with foul. 0-2 on Downing, who celebrated his 36th birthday yesterday. He is one of the mysterious few, mysterious in terms of whether they'll be back next year or not, but the feeling around here seems to be that amongst the elderly Angels, Downing has as good a shot as any of being back. Joyner at first, one away. Chopper, Boggs fields right at the bag, throw, pulls Barrett off. Tough play and a low throw, and Marty couldn't stay on the bag, and the Angels are in business in the bottom of the 6th.
I don't really think it would have made a difference. Bad judgment by Wade Boggs. He's got the out at first. Joyner easily beats the throw. Barrett makes a nice play from keeping it going into right center. So instead of taking the easy out at first, you see right there, Boggs with the trying to get the lead runner. With a 1-0 lead, makes the wrong decision.
Check on the scoring for you. Fielder's choice.
I asked Reggie, I said, give me your scouting report on the Can. Obviously one more and he will hold the record. He said, I'm trying to hit the fastball the other way because I respect his curveball and his slider and his changeup. So see if he does do that.
Base hit into right field. Stubing waving Joyner in, and the game is tied.
a fastball, but he doesn't go to left field. He pulls it right in the hole. Boggs takes the out. The run would still score, but you'd be out of the big inning situation.
Now, Oil Can angry with himself, and so Gedman goes to the mound, and McNamara has to come out just to calm him down.
I really don't know who he is mad with. He looks at John McNamara as his surrogate father. John has said on many occasions you just have to try to control your emotions. You can see from the facial expression right there, he's very distraught.
Well, we're not going to try to play psychologist here, but there are a couple of things that he might be angry about. He could be angry about the box play. He's probably a little bit angry with himself right now as well.
He did not make a good pitch to Reggie. But Reggie still hit it, so I'm sure what John is saying, hey, it's tied, but you don't lose until the other team gets one run ahead.
Yep. And McNamara, of course, and John is as smart as they come as a manager. Knows he's got a guy out there who's volatile. Calm him down, get him back in gear here to face the Sensei. Downing off to his lead at second. Jackson at first.
Deafening if you were a football quarterback. You couldn't hear the signals, or if you were an offensive lineman. Back in 1979, they referred to the crowd as the 10th man. It's a little bit harder to concentrate if you're out there on the mound.
As if the crowd needed it. Scoreboard recording even more noise here. To Boggs, over to Barrett, and to Buckner. And so the 3 Bs on a 5-4-3 DT, and the inning is over. But the Angels have gotten even. We go to the 7th. 1-1. Look at Boyd.
To America's best.
For watching the commercial. Bill Fisher there to say great job getting out of the inning. Only small solace and consolation with a tempestuous one. But he gets out without any further damage, and we have identical totals, so this series could not be more even. Game apiece, and each team with a run and 5 hits going to the 7th. Game 3 tomorrow. Keith Jackson, Tim McCarver will be at Shea Stadium, and it comes to you at noon Eastern time. Bob Knepper, Ron Darling with that series squared. We'll be here tomorrow, 8 Eastern, 5 o'clock on the coast. Roger Clemens, 3 days rest, and Don Sutton. Tony Armas to lead off. Armas, Owen, and Boggs, the 8, 9, and 1 hitters against Candelaria. 7th inning. Armas popped out and then hit a double off the wall in right. Strike. Armas, like Boyd, from a family of 14 children. 1-1. One ball, 2 strikes the count. In the Angel bullpen, that's Vern Rule, and all he is really doing right now is just getting in some throwing. He's one of the long men. Wasn't needed tonight. And he's getting in some work because chances are he won't be needed tonight. To deep center field, but room there for Pettis. On the track for the out. So one away, and it brings up Owen. Owen is 0 for 2, having grounded out twice.
Not really sure that maybe Rule wasn't throwing for real, only because we talked about a lot of pitches. Lucas obviously is up because Boggs is third hitter in this inning. And Rule, I think with 3 games here in Anaheim, sure Gene Mauch would not want to bring Donnie Moore in this early.
Well, I'm thinking if he gets through the 7th, possible. 0-1 pitch.
Again, that's just I think Gene wants to have him ready in case he doesn't get through the 7th. So you get Lucas up, and Rule has really had much chance to talk about. Kind of questionable between Terry Forrester and Vern Rule, and one good outing, and they decided to keep him.
1-2.
Certainly right. If they did get in trouble early in the game, he is the guy they would go to as a long man. I think they may use him for an out here.
Well, you bring up a good point, because I'm thinking in terms of a right-handed setup man would normally be Doug Corbin. In there, called strike 3. So that's 5 strikeouts. Candy still looking sharp, and Boggs comes to the plate.
Those backdoor breaking balls right on the outside corner. Quality pitch for a strikeout.
Just to finish on Rule, the long man, and you're in a way, Mauch could be thinking about him as the setup man for Moore, especially in light of the way Corbin got lit up the other day. To deep left field, and fading out it is Downing. He's got room. And the Red Sox are gone in order in the top of the 7th inning. At the end of 6 1/2, Boston 1, California 1. Earlier now, there is pitching coach Marcel Laxman right at your screen. Rick Burleson in front, and he's looking around, and the security guard going down. And they got a relay system going. Mauch still calls the shots from the tunnel as Jones hits a comebacker to Boyd. And the inning starts with an easy bouncer back to the mound. 1 away. And again, as we mentioned earlier, as long as you don't make it obvious and show the umpire up, they'll let you stand back down there and let your little relay system go. And in most ballparks, you can pull it off because the runway is behind the dugout. The worst place in history, of course, to get thrown out of a game as the visiting manager would be Candlestick Park in San Francisco. There's no runway. You got to go out down the right field line and back in the clubhouse. No sneaking around there without disguises. Rich loops it foul, and the count is 0-1. Donnie Moore now throwing in the bullpen. So we're to that point. We were talking about how the bullpen might be utilized. The other thing, too, is, Jim, that Moore hasn't pitched in several days, so he is definitely ready, and he could have an extended stint if necessary. Rich bounces it foul, 0-1.
Again, with the relative infancy of this playoff, even though it's come down to 3 and 5, originally 4 out of 7, I think that Gene would more apt to go with Donnie for 3 innings or whatever, even though we're now looking at an 8th inning situation on Saturday or Sunday than he would tonight. So right now, though, at this point, what's your best in there?
No balls, 2 strikes to count. Fouls it at the plate. Still 0-2. Game tied, 1-1, 1 out, bases empty, bottom of the 7th. You know, talking about managers and getting thrown out, I'll never forget Chuck Tanner when he was managing in the minors at Hawaii in 1970. Got thrown out of a game in Tucson where the clubhouse was in the outfield. Borrowed a wig and a mustache and sat in the box back in the dugout and called the shots. 1-2. strikeout number 3 for Oil Can. And with 2 down, we'll take a look at Schofield.
When you get into late innings, you have to make good pitches. Here's a 2-strike pitch. Right again, Gedman hardly moves his glove. Bobby takes a good look at it, but should have swung the bat. Gets the quality pitch right on the black.
Dick Schofield at the plate. Schofield grounded out and doubled. 1 for 2. 2 out, bases empty, game tied. Last of the 7th. High drive to deep left field. Rice goes back. Gone.
Talked about last inning, 32 home runs on the year for Oil Can. This is number 14 for Schofield. Takes a felt high fastball, and 20 of them were on the road, so susceptible to the home run ball. You got to give Schofield a lot of credit. Like a pretty good high fastball that he just jumped on.
Bob Boone takes a strike, and the count 0-1. The Angels on top 2-1 with 2 out, bases empty in the bottom of the 7th inning. To center and in there. And so Boone is on with 2 out, and Gary Pettis coming to the plate, and the crowd with its Boone salute. And Gedman visiting the mound. Just got over it, and when you think about Schofield, you think about his father, Dick Jr., and Fisher is going to the mound right now. He's got some power. Schofield hit 13 home runs this season. His father played 19 years in the majors and hit just 21. So he inherited some different genes. Dick Schofield, whose father was Ducky, long-time shortstop. And Schofield is a man who hit one of the most dramatic home runs of the whole season. The grand slammer against Detroit that capped an 8-run 9th inning in August.
An outstanding defensive shortstop that each year has gotten better at the plate. 193, then the 219. This year almost 250, and the power production's gone up. The errors have come down defensively. I have to give Dean Long a lot of credit for sticking with him. A lot of times you hit 193 and you go back to the minors and never come back.
Now Pettis, low.
From the left side, he's a switch hitter, and one of them was in Boston off the can. So Oil Can has to respect him. Not normally known for his power. Make a mistake, he can pull the ball and then look at even more at a deficit.
To deep right center field, and that one is out of here. for Pettis, who hits one out of here, and now Boyd is out of here as McNamara goes to the mound, and the Angels, before this uproarious throng, leading 4-1.
As we said, unexpected, but you make the mistake. Fastball in the middle of the plate, behind in the count. Count that Pettis might try to go out, look for a fastball, and get out in front. He does exactly. That mistake went about 400 feet.
Oil Can Boyd got the first 2 men in the inning, and the homer to Schofield, the base hit, and the home run to Pettis. 2 out, bases empty. There's the man. 4-1 Angels.
When the alien scares the daylights out of a small town.
You're it. Fine.
Robert Hayes is Starman.
I'm really a very peaceful thing.
Next Friday.
Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
Joe Sambito out of the bullpen with the Angels on top 4-1, and Wally Joyner at the plate. 2 out, bases empty in the bottom of the 7th inning. Home runs by Schofield and Pettis. And Pettis' home run, counting the regular season, would be number 6 for him. Interestingly, 1 of the 5 during the regular season was off Oil Can. Barrett fields on a hop. That's that, but the damage has been done. 2 homers and 3 runs. And on to the 8th we go with the Angels on top, 4-1.
Already said that
thing, and Oil Can Boyd leaving to a chorus of what you might expect. Here's how John McNamara talks about Boyd.
Been outstanding. This is a fine young man. Maybe misunderstood because of some of the things that he does on the mound. He's exuberant. He shows his emotions, and he's not out there to show anybody up, but he proved everything that was written about him or said about him were negative. The unfortunate thing through it all was him taking the uniform off when he wasn't selected on the All-Star team and walking out of the clubhouse. And, you know, we had a job to do, and we did it. But his return, he has been successful. He's a good pitcher, and he's a good young man. And I'm happy that things are square with him.
Does he understand in retrospect?
8th inning, 4-1 California, and Donnie Moore comes out of the bullpen with Marty Barrett at the plate taking a strike. So Donnie Moore, who's their closer, comes in to try to close out the Red Sox and get the 6 shots the Angels need to go on top of the series. 4-1 California. Barrett losing his bat, 0-2. Much as Candelaria was a reclamation project having surgery this year, Moore's had his problems as well. He's had 3 cortisone shots.
Well, he has shoulder problems all year. Last year, 31 saves. You saw the graphic, only 21 this year. Now look at the totals of John Candelaria. But Moore picked in the compensation pool from Atlanta by the Angels, re-signed as a free agent. Contract of right around $1 million a year for 3 years. That's why he's their stopper. And when he's healthy, he's able to do that. Great forkball, fastball, and slider.
Line drive, base hit into left field. Interesting little sequence there. He got ahead 0-2. Boone went to the mound. Maybe you can guess as to what that might have been about. And then Bob settles in behind the plate, and the 0-2 pitch is ripped into left field.
Well, he probably asked him how he's going to try to get him out. And what they tried to do was throw a fastball by him on the inside part of the plate. And we talked about it the other day. Marty Barrett had a disappointing year last year after hitting 300. Instead of playing golf, doing personal appearances and so on, lifted weights 3 times a week, aerobics and whatever. I think he's found, as a lot of players have, if you want to play the game of baseball for a long time, it's a 12-month-a-year type of job.
Buckner at the plate. Let me ask you a question, though, just to relate back to what Boone did. Doesn't it throw you out of rhythm a little bit? You get ahead 0-2, and then the catcher comes to the mound and settles back in?
If you're a starting pitcher, yes, because you've already discussed how you're going to pitch a guy. But here's Moore coming into a game, he gets 0-2, and all of a sudden, maybe Boone had a question. Didn't know what or how well Morris is throwing tonight. How do you feel? He has had shoulder problems. You want to try to get him out up and in. They did. They made a pretty good pitch. He just hit it.
Fly ball to center field. Shallow. Here comes Pettis. One gone.
One of the things, excuse me, Al, when you go back to the oil can, and some of the things that McNamara said is if you go back and you look at the type of year that Roger Clemens had, a fantastic year of 24-4, you don't win games on your own. You expect your team to score runs. They averaged over 6 runs a game for Roger Clemens this year. He pitched extremely well. They played well behind him defensively. Candelari's the same thing. In 12 out of his 16 starts, they averaged over 5 runs. So maybe they haven't gotten 5 runs for him tonight, but the Angels played good defense for him. They scored runs. They didn't do that for Boyd. You get 1 run, you better pitch really well. He did not pitch poorly tonight.
1-0 the count on Jim Rice, who has walked and struck out twice. 4-1 California, 1 out, 1 on in the top of the 8th inning. One and one.
One of the things that Oil Can Boyd is always going to have to deal with is that he's a very slight type of build. And as you said, the non-contagious hepatitis down to 133 pounds. He is going to get tired late in the season. Even at 150 pounds, there's not a whole lot of them.
One ball, 2 strikes.
Again, great fork ball. What sets it up is a good fastball, and right there, Jim Rice can't catch up with a good one on the outside part of the plate.
Toward the gap in right center field, racing back as Jones can't make the play. Barrett had to hold, and thus he stopped at third on a double by Rice. Ball hit very sharply, but appeared to be catchable as Jones got into the area and couldn't flag it down. And the Red Sox have runners at second and third with 1 away.
Well, you described it perfectly. Ball is hit very sharply. As I said, Rupert Jones used to be a center fielder. Right there, it looks like he's going to catch the ball. He jumps a little bit too early. Ball goes right by the side of his glove. Again, part of pitching is good defense. That was not a good defensive play. Ball should have been caught, and you're looking 2 outs and a man on first. Now you have second and third.
But it's the type of play that will always be scored ahead. It's a double for Rice. Runners at second and third, 1 out. Infield, of course, can play back. And a balk to make it 4-2. Kerry Cooney, the plate umpire, calling the balk, and Moore wants to know why.
Well, he joined his hands, which is really starting your windup, and then did not back off the rubber when he separated them. We'll have a shot at that, but you can't start your windup and stop without stepping off the rubber. So it's kind of a gift run.
So now with Baylor at the plate, a swing and a miss, and Rice is the runner at third. It's 4-2. 1 out in the 8th inning.
A ground ball to second or short, or a deep fly ball puts them only 1 run down, and you have the winning run the tying run at the plate now. It's interesting, in the first ball game, the game that the Angels won 8-1, we saw Gene Mauch put Devon White out of right field for defense.
Meanwhile, this is the tape of.
See him start with his right hand. Once you make a movement to put your hands together and you stop without stepping off, it's a balk. That's very simple. I think a lot of times a lot of umpires will not see that because they may not be looking. In this case, they did. Call an obvious balk a balk.
1-2. Rice at third, 1 down, 8th inning. 4-2 Angels. Donnie Moore last season, coming out of the bullpen, won the owner's trophy. That's given to the Angels' most valuable player. He's a man whose career had sort of been nondescript for years. He's been pitching professional ball since '73. Cubs, Cardinals briefly, Braves, up and down in the minors, and then all of a sudden it came together for him last season. 2-2. This year, Jim chronicling the shoulder problems. A little spotty. He's had a lot of rough edges this season. He's the kind of guy in a short series you really need him to come in and do the job because he's the one man they have to count on.
It certainly is. And you go back to really 3 years ago, I'm surprised everybody down in Atlanta with the 16 saves.
Popped up in foul ground. Boone coming back. No play. His Atlanta experience is a good point, too, because it is postseason experience for him. He has pitched in the playoffs before for the Braves against the Cardinals in 1982.
I also wonder how they could not protect a guy that had 16 saves. It probably has something to do with signing Bruce Sutter. Spend all that money, you get a guy that you figure that is going to come in and somewhere around 40 saves a year.
In the air, down the line, toward the railing, and it's Schofield as it starts to come back, making the catch, and holding it third is Rice. Boy, there's a lot of traffic in that area. 4 men in the picture, and of course you've got an umpire, a 6th umpire here in the playoffs, and that's why you see Larry Barnett where he is. He's the left field foul line umpire.
There, Larry's trying to get the best angle he can. He doesn't know who's going to catch it. Slides with Brian Downing.
As the ball starts to drift back.
One of those situations where the umpire starts calling who's going to catch it. He's just blocked the left fielder. He says, Schofield, Schofield.
You start hoping you don't impede somebody.
Well, he did. That's why he was calling Schofield.
Sure. Downing was in big trouble. Strike, 0-1. Susan Evans, Dwight's lovely wife. Rice at third, 2 down in the 8th, 4-2 California. The Angels, as we look again, and a run saved here by Bob Boone on a nice play. The Angels with a victory tonight are going to be in very good shape. They'll face Clemens coming off 3 days rest tomorrow. They'll still need 2 victories, but they'll have Witt at least one more time. That's Sunday. And if we went to a 7th game, they'd have Candelaria for that. And the way he looked tonight, that's confidence.
He said he'd pitch anywhere, even in a matchbox. So he wounded Bob Boone. Foul ball right off his leg. And this is the fork ball. What's the bottom of the ball just dropped? Throw a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, and you see Darrell Dwight Evans hit the top of the ball right down on Boone's leg.
2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 out. Rice at third. 8th inning. So now the count is full, and on deck is Gedman.
Pitcher, you hate to bring a winning run to the plate, but the man at the plate, 26 home runs, 97 walks. Last year led the league in walks. You got to be pretty careful.
And Gedman's coming up. So Evans draws the walk. That's no scoop. He's gotten a few of them in his career. And Gedman is at the plate. 2 singles, fly to center. 3 for 10 in the series. And this crowd of more than 60,000 a little quiet right now and a little anxious. 1-0. Gedman, who plays half his games in Fenway Park. Think about this. Gedman hit 2 home runs at Fenway all year. He hit 3 home runs as you look at his life sherry. He hit 3 home runs in this ballpark. One and one. Rice at third. Evans at first. 2 down.
Fork ball, and again, Mike Scott used something that's very much like a fork ball. See it again, it just goes down. You don't see the spin. Very much like a split-fingered fastball, which is supposedly the pitch in the 80s. Very effective.
Ripped into left field. He has 3 hits, and the score is now 4-3 with Evans at second base. Boy, this is a good ball game. This has had a little bit of everything. Homers, ejections, weird plays, decent fielding, good pitching, and it's tight.
There's some good hitting right here. He took what Donnie Moore gave him. Fastball away. Why try to pull it? It's 95 miles per hour. Let's just hit it to left, and he did that.
Now, Marcel Latchman goes to the mound. And again, you're in a situation, and the Angels will have to go to the bullpen. You kind of run things in reverse now. Moore is your closer. Rule, we showed you before, up earlier as the long man and just getting in some work. And there he is again now. So Rule, who started the night as the long man, then appeared to be throwing, and I would surmise, just to get in his work since he hadn't pitched in a week. And I believe it's Gary Lucas throwing the left-hander with him in the shadows there. But Rule now has to come back and maybe play another role. Here's Armas. Tying and go-ahead runs on base. 2 out. Lifted down the line. Jones coming over. Will he have room? Reaching, and no. Back in there. 0-1.
Good effort by Rupert Jones. Ball just out of reach.
And wouldn't Jones have loved to make the catch there? As you look at Tony's wife, Louisa, it was Jones who was unable to handle Rice's drive to keep this inning going.
It'll be interesting to see if Devon White goes back out there. They used him for defense before. With great speed, and usually did not make that move.
Rip to left center, but there's Pettis, and he gets there to make it look very easy. So the Red Sox get a couple. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 4-3 Angels.
When we went to work...
Jim Palmer with you as Calvin Schiraldi comes out of the bullpen to make his first appearance. He has become the ace of the Boston bullpen. They normally bring him in situations to protect the lead, but he hasn't pitched in nearly a week, and the game is close enough, and it's the playoffs, and here he is to try to keep the Angels close in the bottom of the 8th. Downing, Jackson, and DeCense coming up in the bottom of the 8th inning. 4-3 California.
He has a curveball and a changeup, but the one pitch you better get ready for is the fastball. In the first telecast, this is the first overpowering reliever the Red Sox have had since Dick Raditz.
And he came out of the minor leagues. Remember, he started at Pawtucket this season, came over in a deal with the Mets as part of that Bob Ojeda transaction, and he has become the stopper. Soft liner to short, and caught by Owen. 1 away. The Sox, for a long while, had Bob Stanley as their short man, and then Stanley struggled all season long and finally relegated to the setup man and middle relief as Schiraldi emerged as the key man. Reggie Jackson, whose base hit and leave it to Reggie in October, tied the game in the bottom of the 6th inning. First and second, and the 1 out when he came up and singled into right field. 1-0. When the Red Sox come up in the 9th inning, they are due to send up Owen, Boggs, and Barrett. And you have to think they'll hit for Owen. Reggie attempting to give this crowd of 64,206 a throw. 1-1.
Well, he said he can't get to the high fastball anymore, and what he has to do is be disciplined. And of course, this is the classic confrontation. Go back to the 77 World Series, Bob Welch, Reggie Jackson. Is it actually 78? A year after Reggie hit the 3 home runs on 3 consecutive pitches in 77. Well, there's no mystery to Mr. Schiraldi other than trying to hit a fastball that is way above average. Really was a starting pitcher that has come into his own when they basically said, hey, we're going to use you as a short man. You come in and just be a power pitcher. And he's done the job for him. 55 strikeouts in 51 innings. So he's been overpowering. You wonder if they would have brought him up if Steve Crawford hadn't hurt his arm. Just at that point. Crawford going down with a shoulder injury. He's back now as one of the pitchers in the Boston bullpen. Certainly made a difference. Went from a tentative bullpen to somebody that you can count on.
And Jackson gets the call, ball 4. Meanwhile, as DeCinces comes up, let's go to the 4th inning. 2 on, 2 out here. Boyd delivering to DeCinces. It's the fluky little ground ball to first that winds up hitting the bag. Caroms to Boyd. Off his glove to Buckner, who throws home. And on the replay, what appears to be a safe at home situation where Joyner toes the plate and Gedman makes the tag and was originally called safe and then out on the appeal, resulting in Mott's ejection. DeCinces is 1 for 3. Little squibber foul. You know what I'm thinking, Jim, on that play? The plate umpire makes the initial call, then gets help. The third base umpire makes the ultimate call, and the first base umpire throws Mott out of the game.
That's what they call teamwork.
Yeah, right. 0-1 the count on DeCinces. Jackson at first base. 1 out. Fouled away and the count 0-2. Then again, Mott back in the tunnel and obviously still calling the shots with the relay system in effect.
You could do it by phone. Sure. I know Earl. I think Earl Weaver, talking about Earl Weaver, had over 90-some ejections. Might have even gotten into the hundreds this year. Used to do it by phone. Sometimes it'd be a couple pitches too late.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count. There is John McNamara.
He brought up a good point. Schiraldi, who is the stopper, has not pitched in just about a week. You know you're behind in this ball game. You want to bring him in, keep the game here, but also get him some work in case you have to use him in the next 2 ball games.
2-2 the count.
Really a classic confrontation. You have a dead fastball hitter at the plate. Doug DeCinces loves the ball out over the plate, and a guy that's going to just try to throw it by him. Who's going to win?
Still a tie at this point. 2-2. Schiraldi coming out of the University of Texas, and yes, he did pitch on the same staff with Roger Clemens. Is that a pretty good college team?
Actually, he was college pitcher of the year, and then when they went to the College World Series, Clemens was the pitcher of that particular World Series. So.
And then they had a young infielder by the name of Spike Owen who played with him in 1982. So the 3 have been reunited in Beantown as it's fouled away. Still 2-2.
If you talk to Spike, he'll still tell you he's a young infielder.
He was getting a few gray hairs, though, with some of those throws on Wednesday.
Of course, Al talking about some of the tentative throws that Spike Owen made. It's just like pitching. When you stop making good pitches, you make bad ones. If you're a shortstop and you're making bad throws, you become very tentative.
Still 2-2 on DeCinces. And again, as he walks it off in the 9th inning, we'll point out Owen due up first. He's a 9-hitter. Then Boggs. Then Barrett. Buckner would be fourth. 4-3 California. In a game featuring home runs by Pettis and Schofield, a game-tying single by Jackson, and as you can see, Nightline and the Summit obviously is the thrust there coming your way. We've had the controversial play. We've had a run scoring on a balk, an ejection. Good ball game. 2-2. We had Pettis' play early on, catching the fly ball on the dead run. Toward the hole, but Boggs gets there, then boots it through him into left field. Going to third is Reggie, and look at that dive. One of the all-time classic slides. I mean, all-time. First and third.
Well, potential double play ball. Again, I think the ball right there just kind of stays down. Not an easy play, but one that Wade Boggs usually makes, but doesn't tonight. So instead of being out of the inning, you have first and third, and the Angels possibly adding to their lead. It's not pretty, but effective.
You know, I'm almost thinking Reggie's thinking, hey, wait a second, I'm 40, and some of you think I'm old, but I'm going to show you.
Looks like he's trying to break up a double play. I mean, he's got his bases confused.
Terrific. I mean, Reggie's given so many of us so many things for our memory bank when we think about his career through the years and that compelling confrontation with Welsh in the 3 homers and so many things that he's done. The home run in the All-Star game in Detroit. And then we'll think about that as well. What a dive. Infield a double play depth as it's looped down the line foul. Back out of play. 0-1. That's Reggie.
What brand are they? That's the most important thing.
And there's where he's normally a fashion plate, but he's not going to make the cover of GQ tonight. Toward right center, here comes Armas diving and makes the catch. Great catch. Here comes Jackson in time to score. So Jones with a sacrifice fly, and it's 5-3 California.
Great play by Tony Armas. Doesn't save the run, but it saves a second and third. Like he trapped it to me.
Yes, it does. The right field umpire, Larry McCoy, made the call. Rich outside, ball 1 to go.
Difficult play for the umpire. It's also a difficult play for the Angels to argue about because they couldn't see it very well. Looks like from up here that he did catch it on the fly. Replay.
In there, 1-1. Another look. And as we slow it down, here's Armas. Boy, it's a great play in either case. Yeah, the way the ball ricochets off the grass. He short hops it. But then who's to argue? Who's to argue in the sense that Boggs back in the tunnel? Boy, I tell you something about Reggie. Love him or hate him, he'll give you his share of thrills. Oh, boy. What a career. Not only numbers and all of the rest of it, but as we talked about before, just even when he strikes out, it's exciting. Looper fouled away. Still 2-2.
I thought that was an interesting question that says kind of year you had. And a perfect example is that the numbers aren't very good for this year. It's not a Reggie Jackson type of year, but how did he get on this inning? Laid off the high fastball and walked. 93rd time as you took a look at John McNamara and now Reggie Jackson. So if you can't hit home runs, you help him by getting on base.
That's inside, ball 3.
A much higher on base percentage for Reggie this year than last year.
That was an interesting shot sequence too. McNamara, keep in mind, has managed Reggie twice during his career. Once all the way back in 1970 when Mac was at Oakland. So was Reggie. And then here were the Angels a couple of years ago. 3-2 pitch with the runner going is hit in the air to left field and right to Rice for the out. But a big error by Boggs leads to a big Angel run. To the 9th we go. 5-3 California.
It's sore right in through these areas. If I don't get a strong medication, it will not take this ache away in my neck.
What he took was extra-strength Tylenol caplets. Last year, hospitals dispensed Tylenol 10 times more than the next 4 brands combined.
Jim Palmer with you. Been a great Game 3. Series tied at a game apiece. Angels lead 5-3. 9th inning as you look at tomorrow's lineup. 12 Eastern time. Noon tomorrow, Houston, New York. Then we're here at 8 Eastern for Game 4. Mike Greenwell to lead things off, batting for Owen here in the 9th inning. Greenwell, earlier this year at Pawtucket in the International League, called up on the 24th of July and did well, as you can see, 314 in 31 games. And the new right fielder for California is Devon White. Easy fly to Pettis. Boggs is the batter. And there is White after Jones had trouble with Rice's drive in the 8th inning. Boggs at the plate. Boggs, 1 walk tonight and 0 for 3 with all 3 in the air to the outfield. Strike, 1-1. Donnie's wife, as anxious as the rest here in Anaheim. Hopeful her man can put their club up 2-1.
Not over. If you're Gene Mock, you have to be fairly happy. You have your closer in there. Hasn't pitched in a while. Don Sutton going tomorrow. Only 3 complete games, so you get him a couple of innings to familiarize him with the mound.
Another routine fly ball. And 4 flyouts for Boggs tonight. Barrett. If he can get on, then Buckner would be the tying run. And now as one, they rise in Anaheim. That last fly ball, the 8th putout tonight for Gary Pettis. In there.
Well, very educated fans take a look at Reggie. They know you got to get 27 outs. They already got 26, so obviously is very important. And Marty Barrett's doing what he can. He's flinching, doing everything to try to distract Johnny Moore.
2-1.
In this situation, obviously, a base on balls is as good a hit as a hit.
Down the line, and he keeps it going. And that'll bring Buckner to the plate. And all Buckner can do right now is heave a sigh of relief that Candelaria is not in the game anymore. The Candyman struck him out twice and got him the ground out. And then he faced Moore and flied out in the 8th inning.
And we saw this in Boston. It just pitched Marty Barrett up and away. Just take you to right field. Doesn't try to pull the ball. Doesn't try to do anything more than you can do with a pitch that's up and away. Results a base hit.
Buckner, the tying run, in 18 homers during the regular season.
This is a career high. If you mess around down and in, he could take you deep.
And it's hit to left field, and it's hit to Downing, and the Angels have the lead of the series. Series so far. Two sort of one-sided games in Boston, but interesting enough. And then a real beauty tonight in Anaheim. We'll be back.
Light Fighters, the new light infantry.
By a score of 5-3. Good pitching duel early on. Controversy, then the home runs. The dramatic happenings of tonight sort of capsulized in a way on this play by Doug DeCinces, the ground ball up the first base line with runners at first and second and 2 down in the 4th inning. Boston was ahead 1-0. And the play at the plate. Initially, it was ruled Joyner was safe, which the replay appears to bear out. Then on the overrule by Rich Garcia after help was asked for by Terry Cooney, the safe call, the ejection of Gene Mock. And as the game proceeded, it was Gary Pettis with the score 2-1 and 2 out and Boone on in the bottom of the 7th inning, who ripped this drive over the wall in right field to give the California Angels at that point a 4-1 lead. And they went on to win it by a score of 5-3. So the Angels are on top in the series 2-1 with game 4 coming up tomorrow.
When me and my buddies head off to West Texas, nothing works like my Chevy S10 Maxi Cab 4x4.
Roth and Steve Hurt, we remind you that tomorrow, Game 3 coming up in the National League Series, which is tied at a game apiece. Nepper and Darling, the matchup, noon Eastern. And then we'll be back with you at Game 4 in Anaheim tomorrow. Clemens and Sutton at 8 Eastern time. ABC's coverage of the American League Championship Series has been brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, good night from Anaheim, where the Angels have won it by a score of 5-3. Be sure to stay tuned for ABC News Nightline immediately following your late local news. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody.
After splitting the first 2 games, the Red Sox and Angels were in Southern California for Game 3 of the American League Championship Series. First 2 games were blowouts. This one at Anaheim Stadium was a little closer, but the Eastern champs up 1-0. Controversy.